Hey nerds, today we are thrilled to welcome a very special guest to Fiction Fanatics. Joining us is Ehigbor Okosun. This, sorry, let me start over. I get nervous. I've never done the
Nervous.
introduction before. Usually Chanel does
You're
it.
doing
You're
great.
doing great. Usually
You're
she
doing
Chanel
great.
does it or she makes me do it. So you're
You're
doing
doing
great.
Yeah, you're doing great. great.
Okay.
Okay. Hey nerds, today we are thrilled to welcome a very special guest to Fiction Fanatics. Joining us is Ehigbor Okosun, the brilliant mind behind the captivating fantasy novel Forged by Blood. This incredible debut, which is the first in her Tainted Blood duology, has already won over readers with its rich storytelling, vibrant West African inspired world, and powerful exploration of themes like justice, identity, and heritage. Ehigbor seamlessly blends myth and magic in a story that feels both fresh and timeless. We can't wait to dive into her world, hear about her writing journey, and learn what inspired her to craft such a stunning debut. So let's give a warm welcome.
Yay!
Yay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, y'all. If you can't hear me at any point, just like make wave hands at me or just like let me know. But also like thank you, Fiction Fanatics and Fiction Fanatics readers, aka nerds, for welcoming me on the podcast.
Yes, thank you. Um, if you guys don't already know, Ashley obviously just mentioned it. We're reading her first book, which is Forged by Blood, and we're also super excited to talk about your second book, which is Exiled by Iron. Yay!
Oh,
Oh,
my
I
gosh, that
love the
cover's
cover.
so
Beautiful.
Jinx. Yes, the cover.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess we can start right off. Can you
hmm
tell us like any little spoilers, any little details about the second book? Or at least maybe was it harder than the first book to write?
Yes, the second book was definitely harder, but I think that second books are harder, or they should feel harder, um, because you grow as a writer. You hope like writing is a craft that with reading, writing, and editing, you hope that you grow from book. And it's really interesting sometimes when you look back on the first thing you wrote and you see like the beauty of it, but you also see like, if I had done this and done this and done that, and then um yeah, the second book was like very much like that for me, right? Where it took me a bit more time to write. And when I initially sent the first draft of my second book to, because I typically send in actually very polished drafts. I don't turn in a draft until like I feel like it's ready to go. So I turned in the draft to my editors, and my editors were like, "All right," and like read, right? And like my main editor was like, "I really love this. This is really intense. Um, can we cut this down like a little bit? Because like there's a lot of world." And I was like, "Yeah, like." There was lots of things happening, right?
hmm
But I loved all the notes, for certain things for characters. Oh, I love this character. She's so unhinged, like amazing. Like, can we get more of this, but maybe not being so early? Because if she does that early, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that's a bit
hmm
psychotic. So it was interesting, but I took that and I went back to edit, and I really sort of I decided that I wanted to cut 20,000 words. So, and I had some weeks. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go and cut 20,000 words. And what I do is when I write, a lot of authors will write out of order. For them, I'm very like sequential. Like I try to build in things from scene to scene. Like I think of it as like water, like flowing over in a cup. You fill the cup and it flows over. So since I made a change in the third chapter of the book, and then it changed everything that was going to happen from
It's
then
like a
on. So I
butterfly
actually,
effect
yes,
almost.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Oh my God, for that film that traumatized all of us. Oh my gosh. I mean, besides also like the theory and concept, that film with Ashton Kutcher, if you remember from like I think the early
Oh,
2000s, that like
I
traumatized all
remember.
of us. Gosh,
Mhm.
oh, whoa, whew. But yeah, so yeah, because I'd done that, I had to go back and really like tweak a lot of scenes. And sometimes just I'd be like, you know what, I'm just gonna take this piece out and I'm just gonna rewrite the scene and we're gonna see what comes out of it. Oh, and I turned it in. Uh, about the same word, right? But the thing was, my editor like read it and was just like, I could not tell the word count. It was really fast paced. I was on the edge of my seat, and it made me actually quite emotional. I was like, all right, great, works out. Clap for ourselves,
Yes.
right? So, what I can say about book two, spoiler wise, without ruining it for readers that want spoilers, in a deepest book two, well, book one is really about Deb going on this journey to not just free her people, also to kind of discover what choices she's willing to give up freedom, and also what she's willing to kind of stomach, what she's willing to deal with.
Hmm.
And you also have Jonas on this journey of self discovery, and you have Colin as well. And also, he's on a journey, like he's in search of something specific, right?
Hmm.
And there's a choice. The characters make choices at the end of book one that come to bear in book two. So in book two, you had a year sort of to see this happened.
Oh,
You
wow.
land with the character. You have a year to see like where their choices have landed them,
Mm.
and then after seeing where that the choices have, because you really start really deep into the action, and after you see where those choices have landed them, then we got to deal with the consequences of our actions, right? And I think
Yes.
the other thing I said about book two is, so there's a prologue in book two, which there wasn't one in book one.
Hmm.
And the prologue in book two, I think, really sets the stage for a new on the field. Um, because it's not just the consequences of our characters' actions, it's the consequences of their ancestors' actions.
Okay, that's what I was
Okay.
gonna ask. Do we get
Mm.
more about like her dad, her mom, and like Sorensen and that whole affair? Okay, good. That's what I was.
Because
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, no, sorry. I got excited because her mother in the first book, I'm not done with it all the way, but we only get like a taste of that character,
Hmm.
but I was so in love with her immediately. Like I wanted
Yeah.
to know I want to know her life. How did she get here? Like I just wanted to know
Mhm.
everything about her.
Well, and then the mom's actions, we're telling you, the mom's actions
Yeah, let's
affect
explain your
so
book.
much of the book. I know. It affects so much of the book,
Hmm.
Demi's life, and
Hmm.
and you see that you don't understand until kind of the end when it kind of gets revealed. But so it's very interesting that the mom's choices, all of their choice, the dad's choices, the king's choices, all end up being like you said, kind of these consequences are why this world is the way it is. And so
Hmm.
it's very interesting, and it would be very interesting to read about it in book two. So I'm glad we're getting that in book two. So thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yep.
You'll definitely, there's. I mean, I think in like book one talks a lot about not just the history of the Ulusha and the Aja and how they, right, but and the history of like magic and how magic has affected like these peoples, right? But it like book two really like takes us a bit further back to
Mhm.
like the beginning in the prologue, and you see how the way I've been describing it is how one person's action really affected generations, right? Because this person was in a
Hmm.
position of power, and they make a choice that will that might be the saving grace of the generations to come, or might not be, right?
Hmm.
And then you very much like you a lot more in book two, definitely. I will say you get more of Yetunde's story, so you do get to see more about her mother and how her mother even ended up in the positions she ended up in.
Mhm.
You get to learn Mari. I think I can say that without being a get to learn more about Mari. There's one particularly really creepy moment that I love that I can't wait for readers to read, because they read it and they're always just like, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" And I'm like, because it's fun. And
Yeah.
because I think when we get into the heads of characters, especially our protagonists, we see the world through their lens, through a filter, right? Just
Hmm.
through the way they, and we forget some world can exist outside of them, and there can be truths outside of them. And
Yeah.
so
Like
there's this
Ashley likes
really
to say the unreliable narrator,
It's my
right?
favorite. It's
Her
like my
favorite.
favorite thing in
Yeah.
writing.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's this thing where like Demi has assumed for so long, I mean, because of her relationship with her mother, she assumes that this thing her mother gave her was just for her.
Mhm.
And then she experiences it in a different context and it adds new light and new layers. And she's sort of just like, what the hell? Wait, I'm not allowed to curse on this podcast. I'm so sorry. I will stop.
No,
Oh no,
no,
you definitely
that's
are. You
fine.
definitely
Trust me.
are.
Yeah, yeah, but you get like a lot for Colin, a lot for Eunice, like definitely like the people around them that influence their lives as well. You get a lot for Quincy, as well. So really, like everybody is getting like we're making the rounds for everybody, but we're doing it in a way where you get to see more of the world because in book one you really only see Oyo and Angard, and we're going to Goma in the I'm gonna spend some
Hmm.
time there, and it's gonna be fun. Um, and we're going to some of the in-between cities that serve sort of as like border towns between regions, as well, which has been fun. And you get more of the spirit realm and the spirits, because in book one, like I think you get to see some spirits and others are talked about.
Hmm.
And book two, some of the spirits that I talked about are like we're ready to make our friends, and we have our own thoughts about how we want to deal with humanity. So
Yeah. Well, okay, I guess kind of diving down that road, what made you want to write about like African mythology, or I guess was there any personal experiences that you wove into this book or into this series? Yeah.
yeah, so specifically, so I think what I've said, there's how do I put this? A lot of my book is celebrating Yoruba mythology, and like specific to be specific, as celebrating like Yoruba mythology. But there are also other mythologies woven into the book that I don't like talk about as explicitly. And my reason for this is really to show that mythologies like inform each other, and there's like a rich tapestry of like mythology. There's this um I think a lot about how like Greek mythology and Aryan, like so early Hindu mythology, like really informed each other. People really sort of talk about the parallels that they
Hmm.
find and like cultures like being in contact. So it's like a big theme in these books is like cultures being in contact, right? And
Mhm.
people receive from each other, right? So there are quite a lot of mythology in the book. Yeah, actually like three, but the main one that you see a lot of is Yoruba mythology. And the reason why I wanted to focus on that is not just because like my mom's Yoruba and I speak the language and I grew up like steeped in that, in addition to my dad's cultures, which are quite a bit different. Have some similarities, but also some differences. But I wanted to kind of tackle this idea how our myths make us who we are, how our myths give us language to articulate not just ours but our histories, and how our myths become like inheritances that we pass down from generation to generation, and how they can like survive things, war, imprisonment, and strife. And so like these books were really, really an opportunity for me to do all of that, and to just read in like that way.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's very
beautiful.
cool.
I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Um, Stacey, I think you had a question you wanted to ask while I think of my next question.
Oh yeah. So other than the the inspiration you just talked about for this, I know this is your first debut novel. Did you do any writings before this, or I mean I'm sure you did, but if you wanted to like kind of talk about what built you up to this, I like hearing about that. Yeah, to this point.
So actually, I published them under a different name, but I've been writing a lot of my life. From ages 8 to 13, I used to enter these poetry contests, and so there are these like poems in a British journal somewhere that are like billed
Oh.
to me that I wrote from ages 8 to 13 because I was just like like submit them to this contest because I was just like, oh, cool. And they'd be like, okay, cool. And my parents would be like, that's nice. How are your studies coming? And I'd be like, going great. I mean, no, I've made no bones about saying that. I mean, and it's to be fair to my parents, like I was in love with medicine at 2 years old. I go around telling everybody I was going to be a doctor, a dream goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I also fell in love with writing, and there was like no way I wasn't going to love writing because I've been a reader my whole life. Like I love reading books. At one period of my life, even when I was going to school, I think like year 7 to 12, I would go through 5 books in a week, right? Because I was just like I needed
Wow.
something to do, right? And so I always loved reading. I've always loved writing, and really, like storytelling is something like I heard stories from my father and from my grandfather, and they were really, like important to me. So it's I started writing at a really young age, and the thing that really kept me going was just wanting to like build and reflect the worlds I wanted to see, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't really sort of take it like I didn't really think it could be a career or thing until I had some very interesting experiences. One being that I teacher when I was 15 and a half, who was new to our class, and you know the thing where they put a prompt on the board and you just like write a response or do whatever.
Yeah.
I wrote a short story in response to the prompt. You're supposed to have like 10 minutes, but I think I was still writing at 20 minutes. Afterwards, like he took the journals up and he was reading my story and he was like, have you ever considered like writing as a career? And I was like, no, thanks though.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate the vote of confidence, right? Um, and it was like moments like that that really sort of like pushed me further and further until I got to the point where I started considering it. So it would take, I think when I was about 17, I went to uni and I came home for winter break. I'd had like a beast of a time at school because I decided I wanted to take all the courses.
Mm-hmm.
That's very much my life was, all the courses. Like a lot of people say organic chemistry, people are like, ew. And I was like, yes, okay, I like literally like my first semester of school, I had courses Monday, Wednesday, Friday, back to back to back. And then I took 5 courses Tuesday, Thursday from like 9 to 5.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was a great idea,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then I was getting tired and I was like, I actually don't want to go to my logics class right now because I'm really sleepy.
Yeah.
But sorry to my logics professor. But it was during that time, like so I went home for like winter break and my parents were like, what do you want to do? Right. And I sort of just like I just need to do something for me. So I sat at the dining table for 2 weeks and I read a book. I wrote a gothic fiction. I think now it would be called dark academia.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
And which was really fitting considering that I had all these meditations about how institutions can really devour the individual, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was reading all of these things, and so I wrote a dark academia on a break from school, about like 96 words or so
My God.
in 2 weeks, and then I was just like, I wrote a book, and my parents were like, that's nice.
That's
The
nice.
most impressive thing I've heard. And they're like,
What a way to relax.
yeah.
Like I love my parents because they're such like natural comedy in my life, like I mean that's the way I think about it. I'm just like, look, we did this, and they're like, great. Could you like go clean the toilet? And I'm like, sure, I'll do it, and then later you hear them like bragging to their friends like, oh yeah, my daughter did this or da, 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 da. And you're like, where was this? And they were like telling you the thing. But so yeah, I wrote a work of gothic fiction, and I actually wrote the seed. I wasn't quite ready for it, but in that same period of time, I wrote the seed of what would become Forged by Blood. But I wasn't ready. Like I didn't want to sit down and confront the things that I had begun to think about. And I kept having Demi as a character appear in my dreams and be like, "You need
Mm.
to write me," and I'd be like,
Oh.
this sounds great, but I can't do this right now, right? I have to focus on things like I have to like my biochem class and like go to lab and
No.
I'm in quantum physics now, like that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So it just for a very long time I kind of like resisted the idea because I'm a very like all in kind of person, and so I really thought if I gave in to writing, everything else would fall apart. Like I would stop caring about medicine and I would stop, wanting it as much. But then I gave in and I started writing seriously with the idea of being to start. And I actually wrote, I have written mystery thrillers. Um, you might hear about one like next year. Yeah,
Ooh.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
exciting. Hmm.
yeah. I've written speculative contemporary novels. You might hear more about that also next
Ooh.
year.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, I'm a very like I say I write speculative fiction because I love writing fantasy, I love writing mystery thrillers, and I love writing contemporaries that are just the kind of weird that you're like, what is happening here? And
That's like one of my
so
favorite things.
I would say it's right up Stacy's alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
When you were talking about in the second book how, yeah, like people are gonna be like, what is happening? I was like, I can't wait because that's my favorite thing. Also, when you were saying you were having like dreams about Demi, I think you can tell how much depth's in her character when authors are so connected to their characters. They're like real people. It just
Mhm.
comes across so well in the books.
Mhm.
And so you can tell she's like a little piece of you like in there and she's like, "Hello, write me please. I'm ready."
oh,
I'm
thank
ready.
you.
I'm ready to be
Thank
bored.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, these
Yeah.
characters are like people ask me things. Who's your favorite character? Like, I don't discriminate between my children. Like, stop this, you know. But it's also like I don't know. I'm working on something right now that you also hear about. Actually, this one you hear about sooner than the other stuff. And I have a character who is quite psychotic, right? And it's hard sometimes when I'm like in her mind and like putting her down and being like, wow, this is, and then I transition to doing something else.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, I have to take a moment to kind of like get out of her mindset and her brain and the things that she's been doing. Because
Right? Oh my gosh.
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like so intense. It's really
Yeah.
so intense. Yes. Well, oh my, we're like really excited for your future projects, especially
Mhm.
it seems like they're like not clearly not the same genre as
Yeah.
the Tainted Blood duology. So that'll be super interesting and very fun to read in the future. So yay, yay, yay. We'll be on the lookout. We'll be on the
Hmm.
lookout. Yes. Okay. How about we go to a quick little game of this or that? It's like book version. So
Oh,
basically,
cool.
I'm gonna ask you, would you prefer this or that? And you can just answer, and if you want, you can explain why. There's no points, no one wins in this game, whatever. No. And Ashley and Stacy can chime in with their little opinions as well if
With
they
our
want.
hot
Yeah,
takes. Yeah.
we always have
Yes,
little opinions.
I love no, I'm telling you, I love hot takes. Like
Yes.
it's my yes, I love hot takes.
Okay. This is gonna be great. Okay, so do you prefer audiobooks or physical books?
Physical books, with a caveat. So there is and gosh, it's fine. This is a podcast, a safe place for nerds. I can talk
Yeah.
about this to
It's
my
safe.
heart's content.
Uh-huh.
Um, there is like so you learn this when you study things about like how people learn. Um, when you're reading a physical book and you're touching the pages, there's like an added component to like retaining the information. It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you actually write things down physically,
Yes. Like
Hmm.
you
learning. Yeah.
remember, yes, a lot better than if you just like type it.
Mm.
And um I'm not saying this because I used to draw like anatomical like things that I thought were cute and like write in colored pen for in school like all the time. But yeah, but I mean, so that's why I really love physical books, and they're just so great to dig into.
Mhm.
That being said, I think that audiobooks can be phenomenal and do light up the same neurological parts of brain. I mean, not that you don't have the tactile, um, you don't have that tactile piece. That being said, like listening to an audiobook can be about the same as reading one, even if,
Mhm.
I think of it as like if somebody is holding a book for you and like you're reading it, right? It's the same as like with the audiobook. And um I had to, after I decided to leave medical school, go become a writer, and my parents were like, oh, I lied, what's happening over there? And then they stopped bragging about me for a while because they were like, don't really know what's going to happen in this. Like, come
Like,
on.
we don't know what she's doing right now.
But I was
We'll get
like,
back to you.
We'll
I
get
was like,
back to
come
you. Pause.
on, pause. But I was just like, I've always landed on my feet. Why would you? And they were like, who's talking? But for a while, like I had a job where I had to drive a lot, and I listened to
Mhm.
every single Agatha Christie book that year
Oh,
because I was just like,
Yes. Ugh.
love her, love I'm sorry, I'm seriously, even the slightly racist ones, um even the like problematic AF, like psychologically speaking,
Mhm.
like with
Yeah.
the things that they used to believe back
Mhm.
then about delinquency and how it's genetically passed down and like so, but
Yes.
yeah, I listened to all of her books, and I think
Mhm.
the Hugh Fraser narrated ones are the best ones.
Mm.
Ooh,
That man is
is that your hot
talented.
take?
That's her hot
That
take.
that is that is my hot take.
Yes.
I have a hot take.
What's your
Um,
hot take?
Yeah, what's your
well,
hot take?
it's about your audiobook. That narrator for your audiobook
Mhm.
is incredible. It is
Mm.
one of my favorite audiobooks. I'm listening to the audiobook right now, and it just puts you so much in the story, I feel like. And also I could just hear her talk forever. She does a great job with the characters. I love when she's speaking as Mari, which Mari is I know she's crazy, but she's one of my
Don't
favorite characters.
stop.
Well, you're
No.
gonna see. No, you're gonna see her in
There
book
is
two.
something
I'm
going
sad.
on there.
Look at
I'm telling
Ashley.
you, look, no, Chanel,
No.
it's my hot take. No, I know
No,
she does
no,
terrible
no.
things, but
She's
something's
cuckoo
going on there.
crazy. She's cuckoo
I
crazy.
love a crazy
So's
woman. I'm telling
Ashley. I
you,
know.
So is that.
I love it. And there is a story there as soon as that
You
whole
know,
thing and
yeah, there is a
with her
story
mom and
there.
everything,
Yes,
I
I
was
know
like,
there's a story there,
I
and
want
you
the
don't know.
backstory. I want the
I know.
backstory.
I
I
know.
want
I
it.
know.
I
I
want
know.
it.
I
But
want it.
it's something evil. It's like it's evil. Oh
Book
gosh.
She is
two.
so fierce, though. She's so freaking fierce. It's
But evil
crazy.
fierce. Evil
Well,
fierce.
yeah, evil fierce, but I
So
still that character.
Sorry, we're
I
getting
like
way
her.
off topic.
no, you're
The narr
fine. No, I
but
no,
the
I love
narrator
this.
is great.
I love this. I know. I'm so like this is my jam. Like the oh hot jam. This is my jam. Um, like okay, so book two is in 4 parts. And you will, when you cross the Rubicon, you will get really like they put these like really nice pages in here, y'all, where they do things like this, like part two,
Oh
right?
What
wow.
a
Yeah. So
beautiful,
it's
beautiful layout.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like honestly, like kudos to the design team. Like y'all are working hard. Love y'all. But it's you will learn more about Mari and Yetunde and their relationship and like how everything came to be. And it'll be fun.
I can't
Well,
wait. Chanel,
Okay.
don't look at me like that. No judging in here. Them's the
Okay.
rules.
I know. Okay, next one. Next one. Do you
Dexter.
prefer sci-fi or fantasy?
Why are you doing this to me? Okay, so
Yeah.
I love I love sci-fi. I think I can think of sci-fi authors that I admire.
Mhm.
And I actually think that a lot of sci-fi is like fantasy. We're just not really talking about those demarcations.
Mhm.
How? But yeah, if I had to like I'm just thinking strictly of like what I would write. And the thing is, I love science so much that for me, writing sci-fi gets a little too close for me.
Mm.
Like it's the thing where like I was visiting a friend, she's another writing friend in the UK. She's lovely, absolutely love her. Kate Dillon, she has a book that just came out, Until We Shatter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard great things.
Um, and she had a medical shirt on, and I walk into her flat, and she has the shirt on, and she's just like, "Oh, I just have this on in the background," and I'm like, "Them saying this person went into AFib, that's actually clearly VFib," and she's just like, "What?" And I just like, I'm sitting there like, and she's just like looking at me. She's like, "This is
Was it
hilarious."
Grey's Anatomy?
Wait,
It's gotta be Grey's
so
Anatomy.
we haven't told you
Yeah,
that
we
we work in the medical field, the three of us.
All of us.
We're healthcare
Yeah,
workers.
we should told
We
you.
didn't,
Me
I
and
guess we
Zane.
didn't tell you.
I'll be your nurse. I'm an ER nurse, so I'm the same way when I see those medical shows. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not how
Yeah.
this a doctor would not put that IV in. They would not take this person to CT. Like I wouldn't even
They're
take a person
driving
to
the cart to
CT.
CT. I've seen these doctors try to push a cart. They don't even know where the brake is, okay?
Oh,
They're like, how does this go?
Okay, listen, we are friends. Do not go
Yeah,
around saying
we're
we're not
friends.
friends. We are friends.
yeah,
We
we can call
Friend.
you Ehi.
yes, you come. Yeah, that's totally Gucci. And if you would like, you can let me know where to mail. But I will send 5 copies of these.
No,
Your
don't make me cry.
I'm
what?
I'm
No,
actually
I'm.
Stop.
crying.
I will literally post 5 copies of these for your listeners and for y'all, and I will include also I'll 5 US copies, and then you let me know. I have a limited amount of the UK copies, but I'll send some for you as well.
Thank you
Oh
so
my God, you're
much.
an
Oh my
angel.
gosh.
Yeah, I'll be sure to send at least one UK copy for each of you, and then maybe I'll include a fourth for a lucky reader. Yes, let's do that. 4 UK copies, 5 US copies. Bet. See, because I'm like every time the healthcare workers come out, I'm like, you gotta give them their props. You gotta
Protect the
give them their
healthcare
props.
workers.
No,
You know we're
protect
stressed.
You know we're
protect
stressed.
healthcare workers, whole society together. Like seriously, while
Mm.
Chicago Med, the television show, is out here with bad medical advice and
Oh
science,
my
like I'm
God.
stressed.
Tell me that your friend was watching Chicago and the Chicago medical show because my husband started watching that show and he won't let me watch in the living room with him because I literally
You
am like,
correct
never.
everything.
Theo's like, will
It-
you please stop? And I'm like, never in my life would this happen. He was like, get out of here.
Is
Get
that the
out.
show where they like intubated somebody with a suction? Have you seen that? Like somebody's got a suction thing
That
in
was
their
Grey's
mouth.
Anatomy, dude. It was a
No,
Youngster.
I know because
A yank
can't.
hour.
I know I love Grey's Anatomy, but
I do too.
they'll have them intubated and there'll be tape all over their face, and I'm like, why do they look like this?
Okay, I hate to admit this, but I'm going to like a big reason I wanted to work in the OR is because I watched Grey's Anatomy so
I mean,
much.
me too. Me too.
And
Yeah,
let me tell
we
you,
work in Ashley and I work in the OR.
when I got to
Yeah.
the OR, I'm like, oof, this is not what I was thinking.
And there is no McDreamy of
Yeah, where are these people?
No
Yeah.
McDreamy, McSteamy, no McCreamy. But I think Kate says I made that one up. McCreamy is not a real person. I think that was just my brain.
that's not a
I tell Ashley and Chanel all the time because they work in the OR. I'm like, you guys work in like the penthouse, and I work in like the armpit of the body downstairs. Like, there's no windows. There's weird stuff everywhere. I'm all alone.
I love this because I'm always just like, listen, if you ever see a fight scene in one of my books or ultimate scene in one of my books, it's gonna be at least it's anatomically, that things are where they're supposed to be. You're asking any question. Where did that hole come from? You're not asking that question because
Yeah,
Mhm.
everything is
I
anatomically
love
waiting.
it.
you know
Mhm.
the correct. Yeah, that
Mhm.
is. Yeah, you don't have to do any research on that, right?
Yeah,
I know.
It's not gonna be like Grey's Anatomy in your book. It's gonna be legit. Like people are no, seriously, and then yeah,
I
people
know.
are gonna know.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay. Okay. I feel like I might know the answer to this, but Greek mythology or African mythology?
African mythology. Sorry to my Greek mythology fans.
Yeah.
I know quite a lot about Greek mythology. I think the mythos is interesting. But like the mythologies I grew up with were not that. But I think you can appreciate a mythology without being part of it. But what I'm really curious about now, especially because we have so many like Greek mythology like retellings,
Yes.
I'm really
Mhm.
curious because I've read a couple of short um, modern Greek writers who are like turning their myths on its head in very interesting ways. I'm really curious to see, I mean, because the culture is still living, I'm still really curious to see what, to get more and to see more of what, more of how those writers want to like reinterpret the myths. Like I'm very, very curious about that. Like in the context of like how Greece has like changed like over time. Like I'm
Oh,
very
yeah.
curious about it.
Yeah. I have a question for you since we're already way off topic, but do you have you connected, I'm sure you have, or like do you read or like the African mythology fantasy books, right? Because I just read like The Final Strife. I know there's like now I'm blanking out on all of them.
You
There's a
mean like
few,
Ray Bear, The Final Strive?
yes, like
I mean,
Feybound.
there's quite a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
that
not
have
quite a lot, but like there's a
quite a lot.
handful. We're
Yes, there's a
trying.
handful, especially that have come out recently, and now like your book is mixed in with them. So I guess like, do you collaborate or communicate with these other
Okay.
authors?
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah, I had to correct myself because I was like there's actually still like a handful if you think about it. I think it's because there's like all of them are recent and we like recency bias. We're like, oh, there's a lot. There's actually not.
Yeah, it seems like a
So,
lot.
no,
It's
you're fine. I
never
have
been.
yeah. About that, right?
Mhm.
So I love Sarah El Arifi. Like I have a lot of respect for her, and like she's a really good friend. I think and I think it's really interesting to see what she's. I mean, I think a lot of us, what we're doing is actually trying to tease apart, like, what does African mythology mean, right? Because like, you have 54 countries in the continent of Africa, right? Like diverse in understandings and culture, right? And even like a lot of the countries have like a lot of subcultures because a lot of how the borders were decided were not by the peoples themselves, right? So a lot of peoples where you borders around like hundreds of peoples who had nothing in common, right? And then you're like, you're a nation now, and people were like, hooray!
Right.
I I okay, right? There's even like the group of people that are that traverse what is probably like 5 to 8 of the countries on the African continent, so like through Maghreb and then through West Africa, who like Fula people, they're called Fula, and a lot of them are well meant to be multilingual. Average Fula person speaks maybe like 10, at least 10 languages. Like I'm multilingual, my dad's multilingual, but that's different. But and the reason why Filipino people are like nomadic, so they move from place to place, right? And it was kind of a weird thing where like some of them ended up in Nigeria, some of them ended up in Maghreb region, like so like Maroc, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, right? Some of them ended up in Ethiopia. And now you're asking these people, so you're saying like you're all different now, and they're all like, I'm confused. How does this work, right? So I think the thing with us is we're trying to show that like I think as a general category, African mythology is really speaking to mythologies that have been carried through Afro-descended peoples, right? So if you are in Bahia, Brazil, and you're still holding on to Yoruba mythology after like being carried over to Brazil and like redefining your identity, you're still one of us, right? If you
Right.
are in Cuba and you're practicing Santeria, you're still one of us, right? If you are in New Orleans, right, and they are like you know what it is like to do like woodwork and forest work and all of that, right? You're still one of us, right? So it's that I think the work that we're seeing is people trying to like sort of shine a light on a diverse set of mythologies that are like precious and very much alive for many cultures, and because those myths are the things that like helped us to preserve our sense of self, you know, and even like
Mhm.
invent new sense of self. You know, it was like, well, suddenly you're a country. You're like, I don't have anything in common with these people, but now I guess we're gonna
Yeah.
figure it out, right? So,
Mhm.
I highly recommend, and I'm always cheering for like Afro descendants, right? Because I mean, I think people assume it's like a thing that you can figure out by like looking at that level of melanin in people's skin, and I'm like, nope, right? Diverse, different continent, lots of different looking people, same
Mhm.
country, not same country still, right?
Mhm.
I think yes, I'm always cheering for peoples. I'm like I'm rooting for all Afro-descendant peoples and their mythologies, right? And
Mhm.
so I always make it a point to read and appreciate their works. So whether I'm reading like Sui Devi Sokumboa has Son of the Storm, which highly recommend if you want to read epic fantasy like at its
Mm.
finest, like you know, because he goes in bang bang, and you're like we get to eat this good when if you want to read what I call a like a villain fantasy heist. And like
Okay.
Wale Talabi's Shigidi and the Bastard of Obalufon, where a nightmare god who is like I don't know if y'all are familiar with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
The
Highly,
anime?
highly. Yes, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Top
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
list, right?
Hmm.
Like Gegi, in his bag. That man knows what's going on. And I describe it as okay. So I won't use that example, but so for Wale's like Shigidi and the Bastard of a Balufon, Shigidi is a nightmare god who's working a corporate job where he has to just go give people nightmares and kill them, you know.
Oh
And like
God.
the stock productions are looking low, right? And he has another job. He's just trying to like make it on the grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's all this like millennial. I mean, he's lived for like thousands of years, but millennial feels, right? He's in his
I
millennial
love
feels,
it.
and he's sent to go kill this woman. Um, and he goes to meet his victim and has a meet cute with the succubus who has already dated and killed the woman. And he's like, damn, I'm kind of in love with her, but at the same time,
I'm scared.
like
That's like my favorite trope. I'm in love with
I
her,
was
but I'm
gonna say
scared.
this really sounds like Stacy's
Stacey's
canon.
like, I'm reading this as soon as we get off here.
Literally, I'm adding it. Yeah, I'm literally adding
no.
it.
So
Yeah.
you have that, and then you have Sarah El Arifi, who the final strife like pays a lot of homage to not just like Afro mythologies, right, but
Hmm.
also
That's
like
right.
Arabian
Yeah.
mythologies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like bringing so many things to the forefront, like with like I mean, give you gotta give me a minute because like even like the journey, Syra, like the three main characters take and the ways that their perspectives, you know, change over time and the ways their perspectives are so different because of where they landed in the society that they live
Yes.
in, right?
That book,
It's
yeah. Like you said, you need a minute after that book.
you need
Yeah.
yeah, you need a minute, right? And like so we have all of that, right? And we have so
Like
yeah, like
Children of
I could
Blood and Bone. That was the other one.
yes,
Children of Blood and
yes,
Bone.
Yeah,
Yes, which
you
is
yes.
another amazing one. Yeah. Yeah.
And I could sit here and I could just keep listing works that for like people that are like trying, like if you want a short novella, um you can read like Moses Ose Utomi. He did The Lives of the Ajongo, right? And it's the kind of book that you'll read and you'll be like, I have shivers the whole day. The shivers will
Oh.
not stop, right? And it's but we also have like romantic fiction, right? Romantic fantasy. So I mean, I know y'all just saw that Jordan Ifweke wrote out The Maid and the Crocodile. Because if you didn't, you should read it. You should definitely read it. But long
Oh.
story short, sorry because I like talking to y'all, and so I'm just like word vomiting
Yeah.
at
Oh,
this point.
It's good to
Um,
add some books to our TBR though. So
yes.
yeah.
And I just have to say, I love the way that you're talking about this. I'm
mhm.
new to reading African mythology, but it makes so much sense the way you're speaking about it because when you read your book and the histories are being talked about, it feels precious, I guess, for like maybe lack of a better word when you're reading about it. So how you're talking about it right now, it makes so much sense with your book because it just feels very like precious and important. Yeah, you get that
Thank
feeling when you read
you.
it. Hmm.
Well, and like when Chanel was talking about like Greek versus the African mythology, I will say like I love Greek mythology. I feel like it's everywhere. Not that that's a bad thing. Like one of my favorite books is, a retelling, but especially since we started doing this podcast, I don't think people realize that you get kind of stuck in the same kind of books you always read unless you make this conscious effort to
Yes.
venture out and read new things. And I mean, we've been friends with Chanel for years. She's always had great book recs. But when I actually started like following them and like finding these new authors and then finding their content and the people they recommend, like how you're recommending these people, like I'm writing them all down on my
Yes.
phone. My reading world has opened up so much. It's so great. Yeah. Like, so I've been, so we've been lucky enough to find so many great books, and like finding yours was Chanel recommended it. She always has the best
Oh,
recs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's
Yeah.
always just good to like broaden your horizons and get different perspectives. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's been great reading your book
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, learning about African culture and diaspora and everything. Because shoot, I don't know much about it, but even now I'm half black, so it's been awesome to learn about it. Anyway, okay, we are way off track. Okay,
I know. I'm so
couple
sorry.
more.
Oh, did she?
We're gonna do a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up. So
Okay.
you can go to bed.
I'm just saying, I'm always out here chanting that like one of us. Like in Yoruba, and this is the thing that was really important to me that I didn't realize it, how precious it was until I got older.
Mhm.
We don't have the concept of half. We don't have the concept of
Mm.
like, we don't, um,
Which is very interesting because it's in Forged by Blood. So that's kind of it. Anyway, go ahead.
right. But we don't deny people their heritage.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It is pronounced when he wants to deny somebody their heritage, right? And when you see it in Forge and you see Ruby struggling with this idea that she doesn't get to be fully human because she's this kind of thing to people, right?
Mhm.
It is, I mean, it's like there are all these layers for why this is extra painful, right? And it's the being able to like live in the village and like play with other kids in Ikole, but also the way the kids treat her and the way they react to her because they're like, you're this, you're not. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
may
Mhm.
look like us, but are you really one of us?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
you're other, you're different. Yeah.
Like don't fully get to fit in kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
right,
Mhm.
right. And but the thing that Yetunde keeps asking Demi to do is to consider how are we going to move forward and build a future? What is it going to cost? Like she's like, I want you to think about that. And Demi, I mean, then when Demi's younger, she understandably doesn't want to think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What she wants to think about is, man, if I unleashed a full storm, I could get rid of these like like you
Like
know?
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Revenge.
and yes,
Revenge.
yes, and I mean, I think it's so human, especially like when we are like processing our emotions. Like it's so human to have these moments of just feeling completely unbridled and untethered, right? And wondering what do we do, right? I think facing those feelings and like being able to articulate them makes us stronger, right?
Mhm.
Than like running away from them and pretending they don't. Right? And
Right?
it's so funny how in a way, Akwenzi is the one who forces Demi to face herself, right? Because he's
Yeah, well,
just
he's
like,
problematic himself, so.
oh, he's
Everyone's got problems, Chanel.
But
Yeah.
you're right. That's ironic, right? When he has his own issues. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
love book two.
he said that's why I love book two. So everyone read book two. It is out now, okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let me ask some more questions. Okay, do you prefer the hero or the villain?
Ugh. I think they're the same thing.
Oh,
I
Ooh, I
love
like
that. I
this hot
love
take.
that.
Mhm.
whoa, that's a hot take.
I
Yeah.
like it.
That's a hot take, right?
So
I don't think we've heard that.
yeah, I was at on this summer and I got to do a really fun panel with Sarah Reese Brennan and Holly Black and Wale Talabi, and it was tons of fun. And we were talking about villain romance. And then, but the first question I like asked them was like, define the villain for you, and then they asked me what I thought, and I think of it as this. I think that a hero will do many things in service of their cause, right? But they will take the consequences of their own actions. They will own to those things. They will acknowledge the consequences of their actions, and they will take ownership of it. I think a villain is a villain not because they're the ones just doing the unhinged things, because I think heroes can at times. I
Mhm.
think a villain will do the things they do, but they believe that they are above the consequences of their actions.
Mm.
They believe that they have, like, so a hero wants to shape the world, right? Like it or not, that's the truth. A hero wants to shape the world. A hero is always seeking the power enough to shape the world. But, a hero is somebody who, say Demi, like, raised a village, right? She would take responsibility for raising at least forged, right?
Mhm.
Um, but a villain is somebody who will say, like, it was in my way. Like, why do I have to sit here and feel any kind of thing or really pay
Mhm.
for it, right? And it's this really interesting thing with her and Akwenzi in book one that you get to see more in book two, right? Where Akwenzi is often talking about,
Is it
he'll
like
say like,
justifying almost?
mhm.
Sorry if I
Um,
sorry, I jumped the
it's
gun.
no, it's fine, it's fine. It's I mean, it comes to that Kantian questions, right? Of, do the ends justify the means, right?
Yeah.
Or do you undermine life by considering one life unimportant in the face of,
Mhm.
it's like always over and over and over again,
It's
right?
like the
Of like,
Dumbledore question, like he almost justified, yeah,
yeah,
the means.
Yeah.
right,
So like
right,
you said, it's kind
Hmm.
of like the Quincy, where he's kind of doing that. He's kind of playing that
right,
morally gray
yeah.
character.
Yeah, he's
Hmm.
and there is, like, when we talk about it politically, like, the idea of radical evil, the idea that, like, violence can shape the world is real.
Mhm.
Violence is a shock to the system. Violence can
Mhm.
immediately shape the world, right? But the thing is that violence is like empire, right? It breeds a cycle and a cycle,
Mhm.
and it's no end, right? Its very nature is to do everything it can to live,
Mhm.
right? And, like, power is the same way, and that's why, like, unchecked power
Mhm.
should scare people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's wielded by people that we think are good people, right?
Mhm.
Because unchecked power is very seductive, right?
Mhm.
So it is that, like, for heroes and villains, where I really think it's not even two sides of the same coin. It's, some people are just a hair trigger or a choice away from
But
falling on either side.
I think that's so true. Wow, you're just giving me an epiphany. But I think, but people always see like a hero, like you said, like being a hair breath away from going to a
Mhm.
villain. But I'm reading another book right now where I just finished another book, which is Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sue Lin Tian, which is such a good book. Everyone should read it. And you kind of see like the quote unquote villain or morally gray guy in that story at the end, or I guess throughout the story, and he goes from a villain to kind of the hero or the good guy. And so, like you said, it can kind of go both ways. And
Right.
Mhm.
so yeah,
Right.
it's wow. I don't know why that just like kind of put that into context for me. So yeah, that
Mhm.
was awesome. Okay. All right. We have two more and then we
Yes.
are
More this or that. I love this game. This is fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay. Love triangle or forced proximity?
I was hoping we were going to talk about the love triangle at
I
some point
know.
here.
Like,
I was like waiting for it to come up.
Mhm.
Nobody's brought him up yet, so
I know.
Oh gosh. Uh, okay. How do I answer this in a way that will not get my friend to show up at my house and demand answers?
Yeah.
Um,
It's okay if you like both. Do you
yeah,
prefer?
I'll say both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
They're
and
both
I'll
good
say,
tropes.
yeah, I'll say that, like, So I love asking questions, but and I love discomfort. I think that
Mm-hmm.
characters grow when we have to people grow when they have to face our discomfort, right? When we have to
Mm-hmm.
face like ourselves like unflinchingly. And I think that like forced proximity sometimes like forces people to confront
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and it's
Mhm.
great. But for me, like so this is actually really funny. For a very long time when I was a teen, I would talk about how much I hated love triangles. But what I meant was this. I know. You're laughing actually. You're
I
laughing,
know, because
right?
I've got things to say.
Ooh, hot
I'm waiting.
takes.
I'm waiting.
Yes. No, no, please. I'm right. Um, I hated love triangles because I think a lot of the books I read growing up, it was not that. So the way I see it as women have options, right? And whoever you choose to love, take the path your life is on moving forward, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can have somebody time and then choose say, they're not actually the ones for me and move on to someone else. Or you can choose somebody, set your mind on them, and then work through a relationship. Both of you are both working, both compromising, both moving forward. Doesn't like you have options, right?
Like sliding doors.
Yes, like sliding doors.
Mm-hmm.
Also a good film, by
It
the way.
does. It's a
Uh,
good.
yes. But I think that what I saw in a lot of fiction growing up was when it was a love triangle, it felt as though it was really like the girl did not know how to, and
Mm-hmm.
she was just a fickle piece of like she was a leaf blowing in the wind. And if you smiled at her today, she'd be like, "Oh my God, I love you." And then
Yeah.
tomorrow, if you like left,
Instantly.
yeah, if you like left her for a little bit, like she'd be like, "Oh, you don't care. um I'm gonna go
Yeah.
on to this other person." And I really like it really frustrated me because I really thought to myself, like, is this what we are saying that young women amount to? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is this what we are, And so I didn't actually set out to write a love triangle, right? I set out to write characters that were compelling enough that if this young woman like considered them in her life, it would be for different reasons, right? And so like you have Colin who like knows Demi like the back of his hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like has so many like they have so many similarities in the way. I mean, they're both traumatized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their trauma responses are quite similar, right? It's the kind of thing where sometimes like they have fights and you're just like, whoa, because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
electricity. Like you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what is going on, right? It feels like you're seeing something you shouldn't be seeing because it feels a bit too intimate, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like tied in that way, right? But then you have to ask yourself, does Colin want something from Demi? And Demi's trying to figure out if she can give that thing, right?
Mhm.
And then you have you on the other hand, who I'm not going to spoil book one, right? But he and Demi have a connection in
Mm-hmm.
another way, right? But the reason why Demi can even consider him is because Jonas understands something that a lot of people in his position, like who are born in a position of power like him, don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Jonas understands grief and he
Yeah.
understands what it's like to be on the outside. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not to the degree necessarily that Colin does, but it's enough that he's like, I'm willing to learn. And
Mhm.
like, I'm not just saying, but here I am, like actually in the thick of it with you, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there's a choice that Demi makes at the end of the book that people are just gonna have to live with. And then this is what I want. I won't say what it is, but I will say that in book two, you Demi has to grapple with that choice and grapple it in the context of like these other two characters, right? Because I think that like love is work. It's not
Yeah.
just like the nice, beautiful butterflies. Love is work.
Mhm.
And again, if we are going to be unflinching and you want to be with somebody, you have to actually, you can't just be like, I'm just going to plug you into my life, right? Now, you
Yeah.
have to like, you know what I mean? We all have to come to the
Mm-hmm.
table and be willing to do the work.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say on that. But I want to hear your hot take, Ashley.
Okay, my hot take. Well, first of all, I just have to start this off. I'm a Eunice girly. Like the
Yeah.
minute that he's like
Yeah.
introduced into this, I just love him. But you kind of have both. You kind of like the love triangle with the forced proximity, which I loved, like how that was done.
Mhm.
And also I love Eunice and Colin when they have to interact with each other. But I think what I love so much about Eunice is how he kind of handles situations with Demi. He is just like an understanding king. Like he just takes it all, listens, like I picture him like 7 feet tall, just, I've got my own like little, but no, I did. I loved the, and I'm not done with the book yet, but it's not over the top, I guess. Like it's a part of the story, but like reading the story, it's not the main point of this story. It's kind of just like
Mhm.
happening as they're on this journey together. And I do love Colin though. I don't know why I think he's funny sometimes. I just like picture him like brooding around like kicking things. I don't know. I
That's
just
why I love him. I love that's
that's
yeah.
just like the
Oh,
You know I
impression
love
are you a Colin girl, Stacy?
Yes.
Oh,
You
was so
are?
hot.
yes.
That's another hot take.
That
I
is a
can't
This
hot
believe
is
take. I
amazing.
can't believe you guys didn't know that.
I didn't
Yes.
know
This is
that. Wow.
this is amazing. Like even my own like my siblings were split and they had feelings, like big feelings. Like they called me and they were like, if you dare hurt my baby, and I was like, calm
hmm
down.
That's
Um
how I feel about
no,
Eunice. Like, leave him alone, everybody. He's trying. He's trying so hard.
Gosh, he's trying.
Yeah.
He
they
is.
Well,
they
okay, this is the final question. Ehi, is it Eunice or Colin for
you
you?
know
Oh yeah.
uh, no comment.
Okay,
Oh,
all right. We
That
can
means it's
respect that.
Eunice.
that means it's
We can
Colin.
we can
No
res-
comment. So in Forged it's like the romantic elements are happening as they're moving on.
Mhm.
In book two, those elements have consequences, and there's like okay, I describe this as like so I guess this is where I'll give the trigger warning or the warning asterisk or whatever. Um, book one, I think the level of intimacy is manageable. Or no, I
Mhm.
think the word manageable. The level of intimacy is in such a place where I don't think you're getting like red in the face on the subway or like in the
Yeah.
Mhm.
car or something, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like my heart is feeling things, but you're like
Mhm.
whew, like everyone
Yeah.
like listen to me, just listening to
Mhm.
that, right? Book two, you will have the like people are listening, and I just played that. Oh my gosh.
Can't wait
Um,
for that. Can't
Butterflies
wait.
versus like the sweats getting sweaty when you listen to it.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
butterflies
because
versus sweat.
we are older in book two, and
Mhm.
like I said, the intimacy. I mean, you go through the emotional arcs of the characters, but you, mm, there are consequences to romantic relationships, and
Mm.
I would
I
take
just
any consequences with Eunice. It's
Oh
fine.
my, I knew
Whatever
she
that
was gonna
is.
say it. I knew she was gonna
Whatever
say
it
that.
is.
I knew it.
You
He
mean
wore her
like
dad's
having a
ring
baby?
forever.
It's like having a baby, like being pregnant. That's the
I take that. That's fine.
I mean, you're gonna have to like literally like my friend who I did my launch event with, bless her, I love her so much. She like she had a she had a ship,
She did.
and that's why she was just like, we need to talk.
Oh,
And then I was
oh
just like,
no,
oh
after she
god,
read the second book. Oh no.
Look at
yeah,
us
You'll be
like,
getting
yeah,
messages from
oh
us. You're gonna be getting messages from
yeah,
us. Just
yeah,
I,
wait.
yeah.
oh no.
no.
All I'm saying is you gotta finish. You gotta like read the book from beginning to end. That's
Okay,
all I'll
okay,
say.
Okay.
okay,
That's all I'll say because it is a journey.
okay,
So
okay.
for people who
Only
are like
warning. We're gonna
sweating
get
after part one, like read part two. Sweating after part
that'll
two, read part three.
cool
Still
us down.
sweating and scared AF. Part four is really gonna do you in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we are done with our game. You won.
You
Yeah,
won.
you're the winner. You're the winner.
You're the winner. Now to close out, we do a thing called Kudos Corner, which is just us. We all go around. We'll start with like Ashley, Stacy, me, and then we'll finish with you. And we're just gonna mention a thing or a person that we are thankful for and give some like kudos, some thanks, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah.
I love that.
Yay. Okay. Go ahead, Ashley. You can start our kudos.
I'll start. Well, I have two, but most importantly, my first kudos is for you because
Oh,
thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to like meet with us and just talk with us about these characters that we love. And it has been such a joy to talk to you. Like this has been so
thank
fun.
you.
I feel like we could have talked for hours. So I'm glad Chanel keeping us on track.
I
Yeah.
know.
Um,
We gotta go to bed, people.
Chanel,
I was like, I
Chanel's like,
have
it's
so
my
much to
bedtime.
say.
Right.
Um, and I'm just so excited to see like where this story goes and like check out your other stuff that'll be coming out in the future. And hopefully maybe you'll want to be on in the future for other things if we can talk you into
Ooh.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to give one other kudos. I'm in Spokane right now for a wedding. A friend of mine got married and it was just beautiful. And I feel so honored that they like let me be a part of their day and like come out here. So that yesterday and this today, I'm just feeling very grateful for everything right now. So it's been a very good couple days. So
Yay.
I love
I
that.
love it. So I have two also. So my first one, we have a friend of ours who like produces the show. And so I want to give a shout out to Jen. She's been really nice. We talk all the time about stressful things, but her sister went to the Taylor Swift show in Indianapolis and they got me a sweatshirt. So
Oh,
oh,
very
that's so
cute.
Jen is so sweet.
I know.
That's so
Sweet.
nice.
Very.
And then obviously my second kudos is to you. I've been so excited for this.
Yes.
We've been talking about it, I mean, all week, but like today we were texting at like 10 a.m. We're like, is everyone ready? Like, we're gonna do this afternoon. And like I was pumped. And then like as a thank you, I want to do for you. On the side, I have another like little social media account where I like rebind books and I want to like make a little rebind set of your duology for you as a thank you. So once we're done, we'll get your stuff so I can send
Yeah,
it
we'll
to
be
you.
swapping
Oh
books
my
back and
god.
Yes.
Swapping
forth.
books. Yeah, yeah.
No, me cry.
And you're gonna love it. Stacy does an amazing job. Like it is an art. You'll,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, her
it's gonna be
binding.
beautiful. I already know.
Yes.
But
Oh, yeah.
Eunice should be the focus. I'm just kidding. Obviously,
Yeah.
Demi.
Put a
But
Literally, it'll
picture.
just be Colin on. I'll make like a Colin. That's the only thing. It'll be Stacy's version of the book.
Stacy's version.
Stacey's version. I love it.
Stop. Just stop.
Stop.
Yeah, okay, I have two as well. One, my brother just moved temporarily back home in between his jobs. He was in Mexico for the last couple months, so he came home this weekend, and so it was really good to see him and
Yay.
before he goes on to his next job. So yay, we had a good little dinner and I got to see his new little dog anyway. So
Hi,
that was
Kendall.
yeah, so
Yeah. Hi, Kendall.
Where's he
Wait,
going next?
say it again.
Where's he going
that,
next?
that
Sorry.
that's your
Uh,
brother's name?
is
Uh-huh.
Kendall. Yes, my
Uh-huh.
brother's name is Kendall.
Ah, okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool,
Yes.
cool, cool,
And
cool.
he doesn't know where he's going
Oh, okay.
next, but yes, he just came from Mexico. So yes, and then obviously I thank you so much for coming onto our show. Like all the kudos to you. Like
Yes.
taking time out of your day first of all, to talk to us because you did not have to, um but actually just like the second one, just being so pleasant to talk to. Like it's been so fun and we've learned a lot and just
Hmm.
getting to like pick your brain has been amazing. And so yeah, we just really appreciate all of our listeners, I'm sure totally appreciate it. So like Ashley said, it'll be great to talk to you in the future
Hmm.
after we read your second book. So yay.
Thank
Hmm.
you. No,
You-
seriously,
Yeah.
thank you.
um,
I will give three kudos. Um, so I want to say first, like a rousing huge kudos to the three of you and to Jen. Our PD nim. But it's I really loved my time here with you all. And I'm really grateful that I even get the chance to do this and to talk to you and talk to your listeners. I think that there's a lot that's like easy to take for granted. And I think people assume that like authors like that there's like, you know, readers are given, or like people who are gonna love your work are given. And but I am always like always surprised and always grateful for every single reader and listener. And it's been so much fun to just be here with the three of you and to just like hear, like just get to know you and like hear all the hot takes. I love hot takes. Like seriously, hit me with the hot takes in future because I'll be like, I love hot takes. Like, so yeah, I'm absolutely grateful. Thank you so much. I will give kudos for I think we talk a lot in publishing industry about how like we need to keep growing and diversifying and like all of that. But I want to give a huge kudos for the writers who come before, who have made space for space, and like the editors as well, who have really like made space in like so many ways, so that our stories could live, and make it to, you know, people who will like read them or listen to them in the future. Like I'm always thankful for that, and for my publicist who's amazing, and I love her. She's great. Laura, te quiero mucho. Anyway, sorry. And then I think my third kudos would be from my writing community, my friends and family who really just are always holding me up and just showing up in so many ways, whether it's to drag me for certain choices that they saw in the book that they were like, or just make sure I have fed myself. I am on deadline again, you know, and all of that.
That's
Who are
great.
always here. Yeah. So
Okay, I one last question. Like becoming like an author, like do you just automatically like just have a bunch of cool writer friends? Because like I follow all these authors and I'm just like, oh, God, you're just like you're friends with like all these other best-selling like I don't want to be a writer. I just want to be a writer so I can be friends with other
friends with the
writers. You know what I
With all
mean?
these
Like,
other cool writing nerds.
yeah,
Yes. They
yeah.
see every yes.
Like, because I'm like, oh, I love this author. I love this author. I love,
Mhm.
but I don't want to be an author. Like, I just want to hang with these
hang
authors.
yo. I think it's really interesting. So authors are just like, it's like any group of people, right? Authors are very like interesting bunch. You'll have the people that you meet that you're like insta besties, like like we're intellectual freak all day long. Like, let's go, you know. You'll have the people who are like they grow on you little by little, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna forget the thing you did that first time we met. Third time, you need to stop doing it. And they're like, oh yeah, my fault, my bad. I'll stop. And then you're like, all right, this was really getting dicey there. You have the people who like you've been, you know, when you see them,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Like just the nod, and you just keep
You're
it
like
pushing.
a little respect, but that's it.
Or
But
respect.
that's it.
I think the author friends I have and the ones I love, we don't actually talk about books all the time, or really like a lot of the time. We like each other as people.
Hmm.
And I think the reason why that's important is there's so much going on in the publishing industry, so many ups and downs for people. And I think also one thing you learn very quickly when you start publishing is that publishing can put you at different levels, right? Where some people will find success very quickly, some people it will take them years, some people will never find the amount of success other people will. And it's like not fair. It's not
Yeah.
great. And I think that everyone sort of like assumes publishing is a meritocracy. It is not. I think that the more I think that the work a lot of the time can help. Like if the work is strong and the work is good, it can help with people like finding a wider readership for sure. 100%. I have a lot of faith in that. That being said, I think that there are other factors that govern sometimes like some authors you will hear of like instantly when they sell a book, or others that you might not hear of for like years, even though they are like really good, right?
Hmm.
But if there's like one, you know, and so that's why like with my friends, they're friends that I want to like do life with, right? And
Do life
be
with,
able to
yeah.
like, yeah, be able to like talk about like more things. But because I know it's like when you are in the OR or the ER and you have a really hard like death, right? Like this patient that you were laughing with a second ago, and then like they code, right? And you did
Mhm.
not see that coming, right? And you want to be able to like walk over to your friends in the ward, like just have a moment, like say like Margie's over there, you know, if you just go walk by her and like sit by her, she'll be like, sandwich, I'll get the sandwiches. So she'll get the sandwich, you'll sit with her, and you just maybe sit in silence, right? But at
Mhm.
the same time, like, you know, she'll tell you about things like, you know, her kid's tooth falling out, and you'll tell her about like, you know, getting the Taylor Swift 22 hat like in concert or
Yeah.
something, you know, and like y'all will build lives together in that way. I think about that with publishing as like the publishing is like the coding. It's like when people code. Uh, you know, like the highs and the lows, like that's what it feels like. And having friends that you're each other's like touchstone, but also like you talk about other things in life. Yeah. So
Mhm.
shout out to my friends. I love y'all.
Yes, I love it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
so
like I also love to brag. Like I love to brag about my friends' writing because
Mhm.
their
right,
writing
right.
Oh, I'm
is
the
Mhm.
just
same
is.
way. Mhm.
Yeah.
You like made them more human, like, right? I
Yeah.
come at them as like a reader and I'm like, oh, these authors, like, you know, but you're like, they're my friends, they're people. I just
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
they
They're like
also are best-selling authors. They also are amazing writers, right? Like,
yeah.
so
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
such a cool perspective that you have. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, cool. That's very cool. Thank you. Anyway, okay, well, thank you for talking with
Yes.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for
Yeah.
listening. Pick up Ehi's books, Forged by Blood, and now her new book, Exiled by Iron, which is out right now. Ehi, do you want to tell us where we can find you on social media, where our listeners can find you before we head on out?
Sure. So I have a Twitter, that's ask under Heebs, like ask Jeeves, but Heebs, Heebs. Um, I'm sorry, y'all, but I was a child, but I loved that like cartoon, but okay, because I remember the cartoon, but um,
That was
but
good.
I'm actually mostly on Instagram at Okosun Reads. That's O as in orange, K as in key, O as in orange, S as in sunshine, U as in umbrella, N as in Niagara, R as in Roberto, E as in eggplant, A as in apple, D as in Diana, the princess,
Mm.
and S as in seashell. So you can find me at Okosun Reads on Instagram. I'm mostly there.
We'll
Perfect.
definitely
Love
post
it.
you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So our
Thank
readers can
you.
find you.
Mhm.
Yay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Stacy, you want to
you.
lead us out?
Yes. Everyone have a safe, fun week and make sure you read what you like.